1.
21.5 million Americans suffer from addiction, so you may be wondering what addiction is. Addiction is a brain disease that affects the brain in many ways. The drug tricks the brain to be seen as a reward, so every time you get the feeling of being high, your brain is seeing something as being rewarded. The first time you take a drug, dopamine is released in your brain, which tricks your brain to makes you feel good, makes you feel happy, and makes you feel like you can't live without it. The reward-related behavior is affected by the chemicals in the brain and like synapses getting not transmitting correctly, and addiction affects the brain in many ways. Addiction changes brain signaling with all different chemicals in the brain and affects multiple areas in the brain. It affects the cerebral cortex, with the limbic system, and the brain stem. A researcher conducted an experiment on rats where they were given cocaine and alcohol, and many of their behaviors changed. They would give them the drug once and then they wouldn't give it to them again, and so they'd continue doing activities that made them feel high. It reminded them of that state of being, so dopamine would be released. And many researchers also believe that addiction is a choice and that you can't control it. But there has been studies against that addiction is genetic, and that's why 1 in 10 Americans who try a drug become addicted. The medication involved with addiction, there's a lot of anti-craving medication to stop you from craving the drug, but it doesn't fully cure addiction. Many people who start taking the drug, they just stop taking it one day, and just one day can affect how it works and can force you to continue using the drug. While detoxifying from a drug, there's medications that help with the detoxification process that help with that. There are many symptoms of detoxification, like shaking, seeing things, hallucinating, and so there are medications that help that. But a lot of people don't make it past the detoxification phase, so they continue using the drug they were addicted to. For each type of addiction, to opioids or alcohol or something like cocaine, there's a different drug for every type of different medication for every single type of drug. So it all depends on what you're addicted to. The government needs addiction issues. There are other ways to help treat it. There are different alternative therapies, like group therapies. A lot of people know of like AA meetings or just any drug meeting in general. There are also ways just from family support and seeing a normal therapist to talk about any issues that happened. A lot of people who are addicted to things make very bad choices, like stealing from family members. They lose all contact with them. They end up on their streets. They might neglect their children. So there's a lot of emotional issues that go along with addiction once you recover. And there are many different ways to help with that, with therapies. And there's also things called halfway houses. So people may go through doctors to help like with their withdrawals and help with their addiction. And the halfway houses help you get back on your feet. They put you in a house with many other recovering drug addicts, and they help you get jobs, help you start to get your life back together. And also
treated.
Okay. So the halfway houses offer group therapies and offer you to relate to the other people who are recovering drug addicts and to help you recover with somebody instead of trying to do this by yourself, because it's a very difficult process and there's a lot of emotional things that go along with it, like regaining. A lot of people don't have a lot of memory when they were addicted to drugs, because a lot of these drugs are memory loss drugs. And so when all your memories come back, there's a lot of emotional response that comes with it. So, okay.
Treated.
Okay. So the halfway houses offer group therapies and offer you to relate to the other people who are recovering drug addicts and to help you recover with somebody instead of trying to do this by yourself, because it's a very difficult process and there's a lot of emotional things that go along with it, like regaining. A lot of people don't have a lot of memory when they were addicted to drugs, because a lot of these drugs are memory loss drugs. And so when all your memories come back, there's a lot of emotional response that comes with it. So